The time is 00 hours, 14 minutes. September 26th, 1983. A bunker 200 meters underground. Serpukhov. 1-5. A secret Soviet missile detection facility located 100 kilometers south of Moscow. One man. Alone. A duty officer on a routine overnight shift. And then, the alarm. The system is telling him that 5 nuclear missiles have just been launched from American soil and are heading directly for the Soviet Union. Protocol is clear. He has one job. Pick up the phone, report the launch to his superiors, trigger the Soviet response. He has 11 seconds to decide. To understand what happened in that bunker on that night, we need to go back. Not just to 1983, but to the entire architecture of fear that made this moment possible. It is the height of the Cold War. The world is being held in a permanent state of mutual destruction. The United States has nuclear weapons. The Soviet Union has nuclear weapons. And the entire piece of the planet rests on a single terrifying principle. Mutually assured destruction. If you launch, we launch back, and everyone dies. That is the agreement. That is what keeps the world from ending. Not diplomacy, not trust. Fear. Just 3 weeks before this night, on September 1st, 1983, a Soviet jet had shot down a Korean civilian airliner, flight KAL-007. 269 people killed. The relationship between the two superpowers was at its most dangerous point in decades. Ronald Reagan had recently called the Soviet Union an evil empire. NATO was preparing a military exercise called Able Archer 83. Soviet leadership genuinely believed a nuclear first strike from the West was being planned. And sitting in that bunker was Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, 44 years old, an engineer by training. A man who had helped design the very early warning system he was now watching. He was not supposed to be there that night. He was covering for a colleague. This is where we begin the autopsy. At 0:14 hours, the alarm activates. The Soviet satellite system called OKO, which translates to I, has detected what it believes to be 5 intercontinental ballistic missiles rising from a United States military base. The system confidence level is, and this detail matters, described as highest. The computer is not saying maybe, it is saying yes. Launch confirmed. Here is the first critical moment in Petrov's decision. Every soldier in that facility had been trained to trust the system. The system existed precisely so that human error could be removed from the equation. The computer was not supposed to be wrong, but Petrov had built this system, and he knew something the protocol did not account for. He knew it was new. He knew it had bugs, and he knew, from pure military logic, that if the Americans were going to start a nuclear war, they would not launch 5 missiles. They would launch 500. The phone to the Kremlin was right next to him. Picking it up would take 3 seconds. One report. His job, his one and only job in that moment, was to pick up that phone. And every single person in the chain above him expected him to do exactly that. Petrov was caught in the most extreme version of a trap that every human being faces at some point in their life. The system says one thing, your gut says another, and everything around you is designed to make you obey the system. He had experienced something that the protocol had never modeled, something the system designers had not built in a category for. He had doubt. Let us look at every option available to Petrov in that moment, not the option he chose. All of them. Option A, pick up the phone, report the launch to his superiors, follow protocol exactly as trained. This is what 68% of people in identical simulation scenarios do. This is what the system was designed to produce. If he chooses option A and he is right, he has done his job perfectly. The Soviet response is triggered. The military chain activates. If he chooses option A and the system is wrong, he has just told the Soviet High Command that America has launched nuclear weapons. He has no way to take that back. Option B. Wait. Do not report. Request additional verification. Buy time. This is what Petrov actually considered. Only 22% of people in simulations choose this path because it requires defying every institutional force in the room. If option B is right, He has saved the world from a catastrophic false alarm. He is a hero that nobody will ever know about. If option B is wrong, he has delayed the Soviet response to a real nuclear strike. He has committed the single greatest act of military negligence in human history. He will be the man who did not report when it mattered. Option C, escalate. Go above protocol. Immediately alert the highest levels of Soviet command directly. Only 10% consider this. It bypasses his superiors entirely. An act of institutional insubordination. Every option carries a catastrophic downside. There is no safe choice. There is no path where Petrov does not carry the weight of the world on one decision. And this is where Petrov made his move. He looked at his colleagues. He looked at the screen. He looked at the phone. And he did something that 78% of people in his position never do. He trusted himself over the machine. The alarm has been screaming for 11 seconds. His colleagues are staring at him, waiting. The phone to the Kremlin is inches from his hand. Every second he does not pick it up. He is violating military protocol. He is taking personal responsibility for a decision that was never supposed to be his to make. 5 missiles. Highest confidence. System verified. 20 years of military training. 20 years of being told, when the system speaks, you listen. He made his decision. He did not pick up the phone. He reported the alarm as a system malfunction. He logged it as a false alarm. And then he waited. For 23 of the longest minutes of any human being's life, waiting to see if nuclear warheads would appear on the horizon. Nothing came. The investigation that followed confirmed what Petrov had suspected. The Oko satellite system had malfunctioned. It had misidentified sunlight reflected off of high-altitude clouds as missile launches. 5 ghost rockets, born from light bouncing off cloud. Petrov was correct. He was also reprimanded, not rewarded, not celebrated, reprimanded for failing to follow protocol, for not filling in his logbook correctly during the incident. He was quietly reassigned. He retired early. He received a pension barely enough to live on. The Soviet Union classified the entire incident. The world would not learn what Petrov had done until 1998. 15 years later, he received the Dresden Peace Prize in 2013. He died on May 19, 2017, alone in his apartment in Fryazevo, Russia. He was 77 years old. The world did not know he had died for nearly 5 months. Here is what the behavioral autopsy of this decision reveals. Petrov did not have better information than anyone else in that room. He did not have more time. He did not have less fear. What he had was a specific kind of mental discipline that most of us never train. He asked one question that the protocol had not built in. Not, is the data correct? Not, what does the system say? But, does the overall picture in front of me make sense given everything I know about how the world actually works? This is what psychologists call System 2 thinking, the slow, deliberate reasoning that resists the immediate emotional or institutional response. It is extremely difficult to access under pressure. Most people cannot do it. Petrov did it in 11 seconds. And here is what is perhaps the most important detail of this entire story. He was never sure he was right. He told interviewers that he was 50-50. He made the decision knowing he could be catastrophically wrong. He chose the path that kept more options open, rather than the path that closed everything immediately. That is not heroism. That is not genius. That is a specific, trainable, cognitive habit. And it saved every human life on Earth. Now I want you to do something. Think about a decision you are facing right now. Not a nuclear one. It does not need to be. A career decision, a relationship, a business move, something where the system around you, your job, your family, your past, your training, is telling you what to do. And somewhere in your gut, something does not feel right. The question Petrov asked is available to you right now. Does this situation make sense? Not, what am I supposed to do? Not, what will people think? But, when I remove all the noise, all the pressure, all the protocol, does the picture in front of me actually make sense? That question. 11 seconds. 1 man. 7 billion lives. This has been a behavioral autopsy.